after this. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is market analysis for, today's Saturday, November 2nd. This will work just a little bit more. There we go. And today, I'm going to start off by talking about pattern recognition. Pattern recognition. The more that you are able to recognize patterns, the more you're able to identify opportunities before they become extremely profitable. And one of the things that I wanted to do before getting started with today's market analysis is a reminder that election is 3 days away. And the reason why that's important is we have to go back in time a little bit. This screen here is the weekly chart on Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to go ahead to the daily chart just so that we see this in a little bit more detail. Oh, and let's also zoom out so we can get to it. There it is. All right, so this is the 2012 election, the price of Bitcoin. As you can see, my date there, just right along the bottom, right here. The date is November 13th on this particular chart, just because that's where I lined up this icon. I don't know if November, whatever. I don't know if that was the day of the election, but November 13th is the date that I plotted this line here, the 2012 election. As you can see from this date, the price went up rather swiftly. In fact, it went up 20, let's just go like this here. I can't quite reach, but that says 2,300%. That's how fast that price went up. Now remember, I'm on a logarithmic chart. So that big movement there all occurred before the middle of April. So from November to April, Bitcoin went up 2,300% in 2012, right after the election. And what's important to note is that it never came back. Never came back. In fact, before there was another election, I did the math on this one, before there was another election, there was still a 6,000% increase. So what happened was the first few months since from November to April, 6 months? 2,300. But then, 3.5 years later, it actually rose 6,000% to the next election. That was 2016. Well, what does that mean? Well, that election managed to see the same thing happen. In fact, the pattern was almost identical. But the biggest similarity was the price never came back. And then there was a 1,900% increase before the next election, 2020. 2020 happened, and in those first 6 months, it went up again 400%. Oh yeah, and I meant to say, after this election, it went up 313% in those first 6 months. And then it continued to go on upwards beyond that, 3-4 times higher. Likely 5 or 6, but this tool doesn't even let me measure that high. 1,900% increase to the 2020 election. 2020 election in the first 6 months went up 400%. And guess what? The price hasn't come back. Nice deep retracement. We all know about that, and we know what that means. The deeper the retracement, the greater the support. Well, here we are. And by the way, since then, it has also experienced another 400% increase. Let me get my Ripple out. Ripple. So 400% increase from the 2020 election to now, the 2024 election. So my question to you, and this is kind of what we're waiting to see happen, is where is it going to go from here? Well, if I take a look at how things went down after this impulse here, we have to look at patterns, right? This is just pattern recognition. That's all it is. So what was the pattern before? Well, let's go back to the 2012 election. Big push. That first 6 months is just crazy. 2,300%. Bitcoin went up 23 times. Lots. But then there was a retracement, right? And that retracement came down fairly deep. And then it went up again to over 4 times what that first 6-month impulse was. Remember, logarithmic. If this was set up linear, you'd see even spaces between, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But they're getting closer together because we're on a logarithmic scale, remember. So after it made that first 6-month push and then retraced, it did that again 4 times. The 2016 election went up in those 6 months, did a little bit of a retracement, fairly weak tracement, and then it went up more than 4 times. That much higher yet again. 2020 election, we have a big movement, retracement, but this time it doesn't go up really that much farther than that 6-month impulse that I measured out at 400%. So my question is, when are we going to hit, like going back to the 2016 line, when are we going to hit these lines? This is this is happening at 2 times. So this is that 6-month impulse, this line right here. That's the 6-month impulse. And then it did it 4 times. That same impulse. Remember, logarithmic, so it's not to scale. Well, it did this impulse in 6 months, but then it hasn't gone that 4 times. It keeps on butting up against this all-time high. Tons of resistance here at this $70,000 level. It's a very psychological level. And so here we are just creating a new high there, almost beating that high here. Like, we are at the verge. So my question is, where is it going to go? Well, if we take a look at the previous pattern, where after that impulse it goes up, another 4 times. This impulse here will likely go 4 times. We experienced the resistance, likely because of economic stuff. Also, another thing to take into consideration is how much inflation has occurred during this time, right? So this actual value might only be, around 47,000 because of all the inflation that we've had in the last 4 years. I don't know. I could be wrong. That's a little speculative. But the reason I bring this up is we're looking for patterns. And one of the things that we can expect after this deep retracement, finding so much support, is that we will extend up to the 1, 2, 3, and 4 levels higher than this impulse here. Now, whatever impulse we get, it might do that again. All I did was that I marked off 2 scenarios. One scenario where we actually go up and we meet that 3x, and that would be 114% increase, bringing us to a price of about 150,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. Or the other option is that we actually take it all the way up to level 4, and that it reaches 216,000 dollars US. Now again, everything is speculative, of course. Of course it's speculative. It's funny, I've had financial advisors who've been financial advisors for 30 years talking to me about how, oh, well, no, it's not a good idea to get into cryptos because it's so speculative. Yeah, well, your fiat currency is also very speculative. It's based on the future taxes of unborn people. And there's been a population collapse. So now you're really in a realm of speculation. At least I've got patterns to go by, right? We don't have a pattern of mass depopulation and even repopulation to see what happens to a currency. All right? I'm looking at patterns. And whenever this kind of thing happens, I think to myself, wow, what is going to happen with this next one? All I know is that every single time there has ever been an election, the price has never come back. That is a pattern. So if you've been thinking about buying Bitcoin, you probably are never going to see these prices again. You know, we might kind of whiplash a little bit here over the next week or so, but we're probably never going to see these prices again. This will be on sale. Bitcoin is almost at its highest price of all time, and it's on sale. The reason I bring this up is because I want people to recognize just the scope of opportunity that is here. We have to also consider that the amount of money that is in here is very tiny still. Bitcoin does not have a whole lot of money in there. Then there's not a whole lot of people either. A very tiny percentage of the population is in Bitcoin, is in cryptos. So the influx of people are coming in. Between the influx of people coming in, the economic policy changes that are going to be enacted after the next president, plus just the fact that it's been 4 years since we've had a nice super cycle, just all of it. Look at how similar each of these were. Big impulse, retracement, another big impulse. Big impulse, retracement, another big impulse. We see it all the time. Even the 2020 election, which didn't create the same level of highs, but that deep retracement still would never have come, it never came back to the original price of that the election had at support, that had support of the election. So we are never going to see these prices again until after the bubble. So this is very, 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 very cool. This is, and the reason why I, of course, bring up Bitcoin is because just how popular it is. Now, I'm going to come back now to, we're going to talk about silver, gold, and all that stuff, and how things closed off for the week. But I put things in a different order today, and we're adding a couple other assets, and so it makes a little bit more sense, I think. Silver. This is this here is beautifully retraced, finding great support here now at the $32 level. Likely see this now bounce up and then find support at this previous high before we head up towards towards the moon, basically. Our target at this time is the 35, I think is what the all-time high. Yeah, 35.2. That all-time high will likely show a little bit more resistance before we get a leg up over top of it and then use it as support. That's coming up here soon. Markets are closed off obviously right now, but yesterday it closed nice, even a little bit lower than when we did market analysis at 32.4. Gold also in that deep retracement, retesting that low that was tested on Thursday. We can see that there is still a lot of potential for those bulls. It's just a matter of getting that next run in. Again, everybody's saying that gold will likely double in the next year, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, in fact, gold, if we take a look at how much gold has been mined and actually is above ground versus how many versus the price that it is, it's so undervalued because of all of the paper contracts that the financial institutions use to manipulate the price of gold. And they get fined every day for it, by the way. And they just keep on doing it. So this here is actually the Toronto Stock Exchange. I wanted to bring this in because, of course, we are in Canada, so to speak. So this one here created all-time high back on October 21st. and has been retracing since. We see it kind of finding support here at about the $24,000 level. Likely to see more movement going up. I see Canada kind of being behind the States a little bit in many ways. And so likely, as we watch the markets collapse, Canada is so far gone. It's so far gone as a country or as a government. I wouldn't be surprised if they just print this to oblivion as well and keep this price going even longer than what the US are capable of doing. At the same time, because the Canadian dollar is so tightly wrapped up in US dollars, it may happen at the same time as well. But you can see how this high coincided. October 21st coincided with the high from October 21st on the Toronto Stock Exchange. US 30, deep retracement now, definitely. And yesterday it showed some promise there with the bulls coming back. So this candle here is showing that we've got support now at the 41,007 level, likely to push past these highs here in the coming weeks. Unless, of course, the election, something happens in the election. There's so much happening. It's almost impossible to tell which is going to be the trigger point. What's going to be the catalyst? What's going to actually finish this thing off? What's the nail in the coffin? No idea. There's just so much happening. There's no way you can tell. Bitcoin, we've already talked about that, but that almost meeting that all-time high on the 29th of October was really encouraging to the whole ecosystem. And it looks like now we're finding that support at that $70,000 level here as we come into the election week. Ethereum, we are definitely down at the bottom here. We've talked about how it was pushing up against this here. Looks to me like this support is definitely found. We've got good indication that we're headed up towards this trend line. We're likely to meet up with the 2794 level. Was it? Yeah, or 2800, somewhere in there. That level there is going to be the next one to beat. Once it's up above that, then we know that this red trend line is going to be irrelevant and broken out, and then we'll be heading up level by level as we progress. Definitely, I'm bullish. I don't think it'll come back down. It might. It could very well, but I think we're just so close now. And there's just so much pouring into this ecosystem right now. Whales are just dumping all their cash into cryptos right now. And BlackRock last week just issued out another $997 million worth of ETFs for Bitcoin. So, there will never be enough Bitcoin because they're selling them faster than they can mine them. It's a Ponzi scheme, really, but whatever. XRP here now hovering below the trend line, no problem. This has happened before in the past. In fact, you can see here it hovered below and then did a big dive real quick, call this a banker's candle, and then came right back in again. So this is normal. If you wanted to grab a buy, you could. You'd still make 30%, 35%, even if it dips down. You could dip down 20%, 25%, 30%. And you'd still, when it comes back up and touches that, you'd still make 35%. So if you wanted to get your hands a little bit dirty, push some buttons, make some money, that'd be a good opportunity right now. Modic. Yeah, Modic is the Polygon. This one here, dropped down, is now at a very, very good shelf. There's been great support at this level in the past, and it hasn't, the reports that I have coming from TradingView don't even go beyond, before March of 2021. And I know of a few people that got started around this time and did very well, very, very well from this major support line at 31 cents. Did very well with 800% growth in a very short period of time. I think I knew some people that were like a month, and they made 7-8x. And so, yeah, that point there touched again here, made some good cash there. And again, that price has come down and now retesting that same level. Now, right now at 31.4. And so, yeah, we can expect this to bounce up, especially as time goes on. My target here is actually just below the $3 mark, which would give a 670% return on the trade that I took on October 7th. Next, moving on, we've got Solana. Solana is more of a meme network. I shouldn't say that. They've got some good projects too. But right now, a lot of the majority of their liquidation, or the majority of their liquid is coming in through the smaller communities that are generating a lot of conversation and hype around the events of the day and keeping each other abreast of what's happening within the crypto sphere. And so Solana is a great network specifically for that. It's more of a social coin. But it sits here at $165, expected to be at $500. All-time high is only $160. So even between here and the all-time high is a 57% return. That could happen in a day. Like the way that cryptos can be so volatile, this kind of growth can happen in a period of 1 or 2 days. Again, I think that we're going to see an influx come in. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, all these major L1 coins are going to do very well. Cardano, right out of the gate. And then it's going to be the altcoins that kind of follow suit. And so same thing with TRX. I think we're going to see another huge jump with TRX as well. Just A, because of how consistent it is, but then B, these tides are going to be rising with everybody. This does have an all-time high right here. We're almost there right now, 18 cents, sitting just underneath that at 16.6 cents US. Injective token, we have a lot still happening below this pennant here. It's almost irrelevant at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these lines. But we are deep inside this retracement here at the very bottom of this pivot zone, still beautifully on sale for those who are still wanting to get in. $18. This will have no problem being $100. The all-time high is 52. It's 192% just from here. And again, this is the kind of movement that we can expect to see happen. This one here probably within weeks of the election, likely by the end of November. And then we just continue on because the bubble isn't going to stop growing in November. I think it'll probably go till February, March. I'm planning on selling everything February, March, like getting right out totally and making sure that I am clear of the bubble because I don't want to be a part of the bloodbath. It always happens and I'm not interested in being a part of it. I've experienced that. It wasn't even an economic collapse. I've experienced a bloodbath. So I don't want to do that again. And I'm going to just sell everything out, clear my way out, likely be finding real world assets to exchange directly. I'm not even going to bother exchanging it to Canadian dollars. Real world assets like gold, silver, that kind of thing. Because after the bubble, I do expect to see another year of chop where the markets are just really getting their ass handed to them. So this trend line here on 3 protocol is still being followed very well. Lots of volatility. You can see here these bars are really going back and forth an awful lot. I'm going to go ahead to the 4-hour chart so you can kind of see what's going on. This back and forth movement is really encouraging to see. It means that there's a lot of positions being taken. You know, every time this ticks, it's another trade that's been logged. So the fact that there's lots of up and down movement means that there's lots of volume being traded. And so even though the price is coming down, that volume is encouraging to see. It means that we're finding support and it's doing a really good job of finding support. Right now, it's pretty much in the middle of this back and forth squiggly, like you see all these spines. These are called wicks actually, but all these wicks, yeah, that's beautiful. Right now, we're kind of in the middle of that line right now. So buying, you would definitely have the opportunity to grab, you know, a little quick profit here at this 8.8 cent level. You know, from where we are right now, 7.1 cents already. That's already a 23% growth. You know, it's amazing. So after we see this bounce up and get some support. Probably find support at the 9-cent level, 10-cent level. That's where we had some major resistance as we dipped down and started really testing this long-term trend line. So that resistance there is going to be kind of our next hit. Once we get the leg up over that, find some support on that level, that's when we're going to see a bigger movement to come back up to this 20-cent level and beyond. Woo, social trading platform. This one here is finding some support on this long-term trend line. Remember, I'm on a parabolic chart, so this is not to scale. This is a gradually curving line. We're getting higher and higher every time, and so the movements are going to look smaller on the screen. Now, between here and the top of that is a 50% growth. So woo right now, even if you just wanted to day trade this sucker, you know, you might be in this trade for a week or so as it comes up to that long-term trend line going up. But there you go, 50% increase. Put in $400 and make $200 before it hits this line, and then sell it. Excuse me. Sell it and repeat. If you wanted to do that, you have to watch the charts a lot more when you do that. I'm just waiting for the long one. I'm swinging for the fences on the long game here, and so you know, here's my 24th of September position, and then I put another one here a little bit higher at 22 cents on the 20th of October, and both of those are set to go to this all-time high. My targets are. Excuse me, my targets are 430% and then 352% consecutively on both of those trades. Tau, look at this. I am so glad I didn't buy this. Not that it would have been wrong for me to do so, but look at how it's on sale now. Deeper into this retracement. We may even test this bottom line at 434. That'd be fantastic. Definitely showing the world that there's more support to be had. And it makes sense. You know, when this is all said and done, after the election, I talked about how we'll never see these prices again. Same thing here. You know, once this comes in, once that injection of liquidity comes into the crypto markets, it's going to disperse amongst all of the projects that are, you know, most attractive. And you know, a lot of people are talking about BitTensor. I mean, it's providing infrastructure for big tech companies, and already, you know, with barely anybody in here, $443 per coin. You know, just taking us back to the all-time high is a 76% increase, and then beyond, because this is supposed to overtake Ethereum, and Ethereum is supposed to be at $5,000. So that one there could 10x, no problem. Destra Network, still consolidating beautifully, finding a lot of resistance. You notice that there's a lot of resistance at this 19-cent level. So that tells me that anything below that 19 cents is going to be a steal of a deal, because once we get above that, likely never come back. Right now, sitting at 15 cents US, 15.7. We may still see another retest of the 15-cent level, 15 cents even. There was support there in the past, and this deep retracement here could call for one more test. This one here was pretty nice though. You know, and there were quite a few that occurred throughout this whole time. That's what this purple rectangle is here for, so signifying just how much activity occurred between those two price points. Even in the short term, if you were to purchase, you'd expect a quick 35% return coming back to this trend line here. But right now, this would be a great time. I've got enough positions. I got 3 positions, each of them progressively larger and at lower price. So my average price on this one here is probably around the 15, 16 cent level. I'm happy. 0 by 0. Oh yeah, and this desync, $1, no problem. This will be $1, no problem. So yeah, I've got a good 6-7x coming out of that. 0 by 0. Still crawling its way down into this deep retracement. They're actually finding that this long-term trend line is now providing some resistance. Have you noticed that? There's a little bit of a kick out here, but it's come back down healthily underneath that trend line. Yep, and will likely continue for a while longer. Again, I think this is something we'll see really start to take off after that injection of liquidity comes in as people get onboarded into the digital ID, I mean cryptocurrency world. ARK, same kind of idea, deep into the retracement. It's on sale if you were thinking about getting it, and it's under 2 cents right now. It's at 1.8 cents US. This is a really good position. I bought early on because I got excited when I saw that it had broken out of this trend line. And so I bought here on September 24th at 3 cents. And since then, I've added another position, and I'm definitely attracted to add another. Sitting at 1.8 cents right now. That's just great. Look at that. Might even see one more test of this support here, possibly even down to this level here, the 1.3 cents. Oh boy, that'd be good. Definitely want to get in right now with the position just in case. Lower that dollar cost average that I currently have. If it comes down here, we'll probably do another load because ARK is going to do very well. Its all-time high is only 15 cents, folks. 15 cents. So if you get in at this point here, you are what? That's another 8x? 7. Then there's 7x. Let it come down to 1.4, and now you're 10xing all the way back to the all-time high. And that's just the start, folks. It really is. ARK, though, it is an AI project. And so I would suggest that, you know, if we do go above this all-time high, and even if we go up to $1, which it is expected to do in the next 6 months, and I don't disagree, it will be important. It will be important to sell this asset off before the bubble crashes, because I believe that this all-time high that we have right now will likely be the support. So once the price goes up, you are going to want to sell off before that price comes back down. Otherwise, now you're missing out on all that opportunity. Link, steadily crawling its way up this slow trend line. It's awesome to watch. I think we've actually found ourselves some good support. This pattern is actually quite common. It's called it's a Wycliffe strategy, actually. Wycliffe, yeah, Wycliff. And what this, or maybe it's Wycliffe with a YF. I'd have to look that up. But what it is, the theory is that there's going to be a trend line or a consolidation zone, like a flat line, kind of what they have here for the purple line. This purple line is a major pivot zone. That's why I have it. But that line, whatever that is usually not touched it gets touched, but it doesn't get beat very often. If it gets beat, that is what you would call an accumulation point, where when a price comes down like that, it's like a whole bunch more people come in to buy because it's on sale. You know, here it was on October 25th, down to 10 cents. Well, the last time it was 10 cents was July 4th. That's the last time it was at that price. So yeah, when the price dropped down, people were just grabbing it like hungry hippos. And that pattern where it follows that line and then dips underneath, that is an indication of a reversal. And so, well, by reversal, I mean, here's a trend line right here. You know, this short-term trend right here had this major reaccumulation. That is an indication that we're ready to go, and that it's probably at support right now. From a technical analysis point of view, it is right now at that support. Now, given the amount of volume that is coming into this, given the timing of AI projects, this here is a great one. I'm quite over leveraged. I talk about this lots. I got quite a bit leveraged into a lot of these other projects, so I'm not adding to this one, but it wouldn't be bad. And it is supposed to go to $1 as well. So that means, you know, from this point here, you're looking at another 9x, 8x for sure. DEAI, 01 Labs. This one here is a very nice chart because we didn't have a big pump and dump. Right now, we're actually just finished testing an all-time high, forming a new all-time high on October 30th. Is that right? Yep, on October 30th, that all-time high was formed. Came back, retraced into this little pivot zone, actually found some support off of the 60-cent level and is now rallying its way back up to that all-time high. You know, between here and a $1, between here and $1 already, that's a 46% increase. So really good spot right now for those of you who are interested in grabbing a quick short trade and you know, really just test things out. This would be a good asset to test things out. The fact that it had such great support even at 46 means that if you take this and it retraces, you're not in a bad position. In fact, you'd be great. It would be a good opportunity to practice some dollar cost averaging, bringing that average cost per coin down by buying again at a later date when it's lower. Buying right now wouldn't be bad either because it looks like we found some nice support off of this which provided some resistance back, you know, throughout October. So yeah, great one. FAR, of course, I leave this one to closer to last because it's pretty outrageous. I mean, who would have thought that we'd be investing in video game coins? Well, I did. But this is pretty crazy. Because this asset is providing a lot of infrastructure for AI to develop games for us. And so we can start a game, we get our parameters, which are easy enough to program, but it's the biggest thing that takes the most amount of time when it comes to video gaming is the processing, like the programming of all the graphics. Well, that can now be leveraged off to a machine. So when this takes off, as a result of this influx of liquidity coming in and a lot of these AI projects coming on board, you know, this is very easily capable of coming back to its all-time high, which is 2,300% higher than what I purchased at, and already that price is even lower. And right now, that would provide a 2,800% return for those who are coming in at this point. Now we talk about some memes. Sundog coming back down, testing these lows here. Might even go down lower. Who knows? Not too concerned. Again, long term, I do expect this to come back and go over top of this high, and I'll make some money off of it. But I'm not banking on it, obviously. Bonk, however. Look at that coming down, finding that support line in this pennant. Be a good time to buy and grab a quick 19-20% coming back upwards. And then of course NPC. This one here is definitely my favorite of the meme coins, simply because of, yeah, it's the notion of making fun of people who just run a computer program instead of, you know, have meaningful interactions with you. So this one here is likely, well, it's big time accumulating right now. We're seeing like big accounts, massive purchases coming in as this price came down. So you know full well they're getting ready. Finding support here, looks like around the 2-3 cent level. Might still retrace and test out the 2.6 cent level, but we'll see what happens. And then of course after the election, once the marketing campaigns that these companies have set up are catching some of those new leads into Bitcoin, we're going to see this take off. So there we have it. That's market analysis for Saturday. I went a little bit faster than usual because I wanted to make this more of an overview, and then that way our private group can go more into detail on what trades we're taking. If you like this, definitely like it, comment it, give me a follow. And if you have any assets that you would like me to check out and analyze, let me know. I'd be more than happy to put them up on the chart here for you. So I take requests. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of the day.